Yun Chujio did not expect the change to happen so quickly. She did not have time to react. Furthermore, she was not a kind person. Other than Yuan Ji, who was quite pleasing to the eye, the other 4 people were dead or alive. It was up to fate. She did not expect the skeleton Lingji to be able to attack on its own, so she had to end the battle quickly. However, Yuan Ji and the others had a map and jade slip in their hands. Everyone outside could see everything here, so she had to be careful. She had too many secrets. It would be easy if she didn't have people from the Divine Enlightenment continent, but it would be troublesome if they coveted her. Jisoo was so frightened by the scene just now that his face turned pale. When he suddenly heard Yun Chujio's words, he subconsciously asked, "What problem? You really don't see it? I have read the relevant records in the ancient books. The dry bone Ganoderma is not cultivated like this. If it is cultivated like this, Yun Chujio's voice was not very loud, but it was still heard by many demon beasts. However, when they pricked up their ears and waited for a while, they didn't see Yun Chujio continue, so their hearts were in a mess. Fortunately, Jisoo asked what they were thinking. "Junior sister Yun, what do you mean by this?" "Nothing much. Anyway, we are just watching the show. Why do we care so much?" Yun Chujio said indifferently. Such ambiguous words made people's thoughts run wild, and the beasts were no exception. A few high-level demonic beasts looked at each other, and 2 of them immediately walked up to Yun Chujio and the others and growled threateningly. Yun Chujio had a faint smile on her face and said, "I don't understand what you're saying. Why don't you speak in human language?" The 2 high-level demonic beasts were so angry that they were twitching. "Speak in human language? Are you joking with them? I think you should take a look at Snavel." Kmayan Chujio gave Jisoo a veiled glance, and Jisoo suddenly felt blessed. He seemed to understand Yun Chujio's meaning, and asked tentatively, "What do you mean?" "Junior sister Yun, they probably want to know about the cultivation of the dry bone Ganoderma." The 2 demonic beasts immediately nodded. This monk was not bad. They could eat him in the end. Yun Chujio suddenly understood and said, "So that's the case. I was just saying casually. Just pretend that I didn't say anything." The 2 demonic beasts wanted to pounce on Yun Chujio and tear her into pieces. How could they say such words casually? Yun Chujio smiled brightly and said, "Why? Do you want to know?" The 2 demonic beasts were so angry that they snorted. Was there even a need to ask? "I can tell you, but you have to let us take a look at the front. If not, just pretend that I didn't say anything." Yun Chujio said. The 2 demonic beasts roared at Yun Chujio threateningly. Yun Chujio took the large kitchen knife and casually chopped at the cliff wall again. Then, the 2 high-level demonic beasts stopped. They thought about it and decided that it wouldn't be a big deal to let these humans go to the front. They wouldn't be able to make much of a difference. If this wretched girl couldn't say anything, they could use them to cultivate the dry bone Ganoderma. Perhaps they could make the dry bone Ganoderma grow faster. Thus, they let out a low roar as a sign of agreement. Yun Chujio immediately swaggered in. Jisoo and the others had no choice but to follow her and enter the encirclement of the demonic beasts. They felt that this was no different from voluntarily throwing away one's life. The days of following junior sister Yun were really exciting. Chapter 54:15. Digging a hole for yourself. Yun Chujio and the other 3 quickly walked to the front. Hope suddenly appeared in the eyes of Yuan Ji and the other 3. Although they also knew that the hope was very slim, even a glimmer of hope was better than despair. At this time, the few high-level demon beasts began to roar threateningly. Clearly, they were urging Yun Chujio to tell them about cultivating the skeleton Ganoderma. Yun Chujio smiled. "I don't know where you got the cultivation method from. Although this method can also be used to cultivate the Ganoderma, not only does it take a long time, but the quality is also not good." The high-level demon beasts were skeptical. The cultivation method of the Ganoderma was passed down from their ancestors, and there might be some deviation in the process. Yun Chujio's gaze fell on the Ganoderma, and she said, "If this Ganoderma wants to be cultivated successfully and obtain high quality, it must be cultivated with the body of a human female." The moment Yun Chujio said that, Jisoo and the other demon beasts were stunned. There was such a saying? Most importantly, was she stupid? She was the only female human here. Wasn't she digging a hole for herself? And it was the type that was buried alive. At this moment, Yuan Qing shouted loudly, "Yes. She's right. I've also seen such records in the ancient records. Quickly release us and use her to cultivate the withered bone Ganoderma." Yuan Ji stared at Yuan Qing with his mouth agape. He felt that he was not a good person, but compared to Yuan Qing, he was a benevolent person. Ji Su and the others glared at Yuan Qing. They wished they could kill him. Yun Chujia's expression did not change. She said calmly, "He is right. It is most suitable for me to cultivate the Ganoderma. How about this? I will stay behind to cultivate the Ganoderma. You guys let them go. What do you think?" The demonic beast stared at Yun Chujio suspiciously. Was this human girl a fool? She actually used her own life to save others? I know you all think him a fool, but you're not me, so how can you understand my feelings? I'm their master's joint successor disciple. As the saying goes, the greater the benefits, the greater the responsibility. I should protect them so as not to let down the teachings of my two masters. If I don't go to hell, who will? Amitba. Yun Chujio said with a compassionate look. Seeing that the beasts were still hesitating, she said, "Look, the skeleton from before is almost used up. If you don't make up your mind, it will be too late." The beasts looked in the direction where Yun Chujio pointed. Only a part of the skeleton of the bitter Zen sect disciple was left. The missing part must have been absorbed by the skeleton Ganoderma as nutrients. The high-level demonic beasts hesitated for a moment and decided to believe Yun Chujio's words. At worst, they could use the bones of low-level demonic beasts to cultivate the Ganoderma, but it would grow slower. Thus, they made a path. Yun Chujio signaled Ji Su and the others to help Yuan Ji and the others leave. She also gave Ji Su the storage ring of the dead disciple. "Senior brother Ji Su, you have the map and jade slip in your hands. You should be able to successfully descend the mountain. Be careful and take care." Yun Chujio said calmly. Although Ji Su was a little worried about Yun Chujio's safety, he knew that this person was a pervert. Since she had taken the initiative to stay behind, she might have some good ideas. Chapter 54:16 Even lied to the demonic beasts. Ji Su heard Yun Chujio mention the map and jade slip. He guessed that she wanted them to take Yuan Ji and the others away so that the people outside wouldn't see the situation here. Thus, he nodded. "Junior sister Yun, we'll be leaving now. Take care." Yun Chujio watched Ji Su and the others disappear from her sight. She sat on the ground lazily and even took out a spirit fruit to eat. For some reason, the demonic beasts felt that the scene in front of them was extremely strange. Did this little girl really not care about life and death? Was she really not afraid of death? Time seemed to have become extremely long. Finally, the withered bone Ganoderma had completely digested the skeleton from before. Its size had also grown to the size of half a fist. At this moment, a red root extended out from where Yun Chujio was. Yun Chujio held the large kitchen knife and directly chopped off a few roots. Then, she berated coldly, "Get lost." The red root retracted back into the soil as expected. Then, the miserable cry of a demonic beast could be heard. The demonic beast was instantly coiled into a cocoon and dragged to the side of the stone wall. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a skeleton. The demonic beasts were stunned by the scene in front of them. That skeleton Ganoderma was actually scared off by that smelly girl? No, the problem was, didn't that smelly girl already promise them to help nurture the skeleton Ganoderma? Why did she go back on her words? Was she toying with them? She was courting death. The demonic beasts immediately let out an earth-shattering roar. A few demonic beasts were about to come forward and slap Yun Chujio to death. Yun Chujio held the large kitchen knife and said faintly, "If you act rashly, I will chop this Ganoderma into pieces. No one will be able to get it." The demonic beasts did not dare to move forward anymore. They only had one thought in their hearts. This wretched girl was too sinister. She was too shameless. She even deceived the demonic beasts. Did she still have any moral integrity? No matter what, they had to nurture the dry bone Ganoderma first. At most, they would let her leave when the time came. As long as she kept the dry bone Ganoderma, it would be fine. The few high-level demonic beasts were afraid that the dry bone Ganoderma would target them later. They directly beat up a few low-level demonic beasts until they were half dead and placed them at the front to prevent them from suffering. Yun Chujio took out a handful of melon seeds and chewed them while staring at the Ganoderma. As time passed, the Ganoderma's shape became closer and closer to the skeleton, and its color became brighter and brighter, as bright as blood. Suddenly, the Ganoderma fell from the skeleton and flew towards the stone wall. Unfortunately, Yun Chujio kept staring at it. The moment it fell, Yun Chujio moved. She grabbed the Ganoderma and placed it in a jade box, then put it into her storage ring. The demonic beasts immediately let out a furious roar, ready to swarm over and tear Yun Chujio into pieces. The corner of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. She used her spiritual sense to speak to Hun Dun, who was inside the spiritual beast bag. Confuse them, or it'll make you run. Hun Dun's face was filled with grief and indignation. Who did it offend? How did it end up in the hands of this female devil? Before Hun Dun could think of a reason, he was released by Yun Chujio. When those demonic beasts saw Hun Dun, who was wearing a green sweater, in front of them, they were instantly dumbfounded. What the hell was this thing? Hun Dun's song instantly sounded. Although its current strength was not enough, in order to not run for its life, it could only exceed its standard. The demonic beasts were not on guard at all. In addition, the space in the cave was limited, and the singing came back and forth in the cave. Their expressions instantly became dull. Although the demonic beasts were only dull for a few breaths, it was enough for Yun Chujio to break out of the encirclement of the demonic beasts. Yun Chujio and Hun Dun did not run far before the roars of the demonic beasts came from behind. Hun Dun said with grief and indignation, "I just tried my best. I can't sing anymore in a short period of time. I'm really unlucky to meet you." Yun Chujio did not have time to talk nonsense with it now. She directly put it into the spiritual beast bag and then sped up. Fortunately, her movement technique was much faster than those demonic beasts. In addition, the spring dawn peak was not as difficult as the winter peak. Yun Chujio gradually got rid of those furious demonic beasts. Seeing that those demonic beasts would not catch up for a while, she found a big rock and sat down. She was ready to drink some water and eat something before continuing her journey. Just then, she inadvertently caught a glimpse of a flash of purple in the grass beside her. She immediately shouted coldly, "Go away, Ba! Have you grown capable? You actually saved a small treasury behind my back again." Goibutsao was so frightened that it trembled. It was already careful enough, how could it still be discovered by this damned girl? It had no choice but to jump out from the bushes and then kneel on the ground. Yun Chujio pointed at it and scolded, "You dumbass! If those people outside discover you, both you and I will be in big trouble. I'm warning you, if you keep hoarding money, I will let you know what it feels like to starve for 3 years." Although Goibutsao did not take Yun Chujio's words seriously, but seeing that she was really angry, it had no choice but to commit suicide. This fellow's heart was filled with grievances. Yun Chujio saw that the Guai Chao in her dantian was drooping and looked like it could not live anymore, so she comforted her, "The situation here is special. Every move will be seen by the people outside. After we leave this place, I will let you out." Guai Chao shook her leaves to show that she heard it. She thought, at least this stupid girl has a conscience." Yun Chujio rested for a while and continued on her journey. Soon she caught up with Jisoo and the others. Although Jisoo and the others had left about 4 hours earlier than Yun Chujio, Yuan Ji and the others' injuries were not light. Even though they had taken pills, their speed was still affected. Jisoo was overjoyed when he saw Yun Chujio. "Junior sister Yun, it's great that you're all right. I knew that a pervert like you would be fine." "Yun Chujio," Yuan Ji said gratefully, "Junior sister Yun, thank you so much this time. If there's a chance in the future, senior brother will definitely thank you." Yuan Qing, who was at the side, had an unnatural expression on his face. He was afraid that Yun Chujio would settle the score after the autumn. However, Yun Chujio did not even look at him. It was as if she did not take the previous incident to heart. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. Yuan Tong and Yuan Fan didn't look too natural either. They had said a lot of sarcastic things before, but they still thanked her stiffly. Yun Chujio just nodded lightly and didn't say anything. Everyone knew that this wasn't a place to stay for long. Only when they reached the foot of Chunshao Peak did they let out a long sigh of relief. Junior sister Yun, are we going to the Midsummer Peak or the Golden Autumn Peak next? Ji-Su asked. In fact, Ji-Su was very curious about whether Yun Chujio had obtained the withered bone Lingji or not, but he felt that it was better not to ask. After all, among the 4 people of the bitter Zen sect, apart from Yuan Ji who seemed to have a good relationship with junior sister Yun, the other 3 did not seem to be good people. Before Yun Chujio responded, she heard footsteps, and there seemed to be quite a number of them. She narrowed her eyes slightly. Was it Mu Zian and the others or the people from the Divine Devil Hall? After a while, someone indeed walked over. It was Mu Zian and the others. However, Mu Zian and the others should have had 14 people, but now there were only 10 people left. Those 4 people most likely met with misfortune. Mu Zian and the others also saw Yun Chujio and the others. They exchanged a look and walked over. Yun Chujio, did you find the Lai Yen Julien and the skeleton Ganoderma? Mu Zian stared at Yun Chujio and asked. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Tell me first, did you find the frost plum? Mu Zian's eyes flashed and said, Of course we did. Now, can you tell me, did you find the Lai Yen Julien and the skeleton Ganoderma? Yun Chujio curled her lips and said, Guess. Mu Zian. Yuan Qing rolled his eyes. He had offended Yun Chujio previously. Although Yun Chujio did not kill him now, there was no guarantee that she would settle the score later. He might as well switch sides to Mu Zian's side. He was confident that as long as he switched sides, Yuan Tong and Yuan Fan would definitely switch sides with him. As for whether they would be punished by Xian Hui after they got out, it did not matter. After all, Xian Hui did not ask them to follow Yun Chujio. Moreover, he was now the personal disciple of Elder Xian Ji. Xian Hui had just taken over and her position was not stable, so she did not dare to really do anything to him. I think you should take a look at Snavel. Therefore, he said with a fake smile, Almsgiver Yun, since you have the skeleton Ganoderma, why do you need to hide it? As the saying goes, those who see it will get a share. That skeleton Ganoderma should be half of our bitter Zen sect. Why don't we split it equally? Almsgiver Mu, Almsgiver Qi, Almsgiver Zhuang. Do you think what I said makes sense? Roel Frendel for S nu Omicron V Epsilon L. Of course, they were more than happy to do so. Mu Zian immediately said, Master Yuan Qing is right. Yun Chujio, don't tell me you want to eat it all for yourself? Yuan Ji looked at Yuan Qing in disbelief. He felt that he had completely changed his worldview. Where did this Yuan Qing get his face from? He actually wanted to split the Ganoderma equally? Moreover, it seemed that he actually wanted to rely on the Mu family. Yuan Ji couldn't bear it anymore. He angrily shouted, Senior brother Yuan Qing, what do you mean by this? If it wasn't for junior sister Yun, I'm afraid that we would have already become the nourishment of the Ganoderma. Yet, you are now repaying kindness with enmity. This is really outrageous. Yuan Qing snorted coldly, Yuan Ji, don't make it sound so bad. Yun Chujio's goal is for the Ganoderma. Saving us was just a convenience. Furthermore, junior brother Yuan Han lost his life because of the Ganoderma. Why can't we ask for half of it? Junior brother Yuan Tong, junior brother Yuan Fan, what do you think? Yuan Tong and Yuan Fan were somewhat wavering. However, when they thought of the sarcastic remarks they made in front of Yuan Ji, they still felt that it was better to travel with Yuan Qing. Moreover, they felt that in the Four Seasons mountain range, from the number of people, Yun Chujio and the others were at an absolute disadvantage. It was a wise choice to rely on the Mu family. After all, there were still 10 people from the Divine Devil Hall. Although sect leader Xian Hui seemed to have formed an alliance with the Zen sect, the other people from the Bitter Zen sect might not agree to break with the Divine Devil Hall. In the end, they gritted their teeth and nodded. Senior brother Yuan Qing is right. We should be given half of the dry bone Ganoderma. Yun Chujio heard this and said indifferently, "Today, I've relived the story of the farmer and the snake, the hunter and the wolf. So there really is such a thing as repaying kindness with enmity in this world." Yuan Qing and the other two people's expressions were a little unnatural, but they were quickly replaced by being fierce on the outside but weak on the inside. "Yun Chujio, one thing is another. If you give us half of the dry bone Ganoderma now, we will naturally repay you with other ways in the future for saving our lives," Yuan Qing shouted coldly. Yun Chujio's eyes turned cold. "Let's not talk about the fact that I didn't get the Ganoderma. Even if I did, I wouldn't give it to you three heartless dogs." Yuan Qing laughed coldly. "Benefactor Mu, Benefactor Qi, Benefactor Zhuang, why don't we work together to take Yun Chujio down?" Mu Zian and the others were naturally looking forward to it. Regardless of whether Yun Chujio and the others had the Ganoderma or not, killing them would bring them no harm. Even if the people outside could see the scene in real time, they weren't afraid. After all, it wasn't impossible to kill someone. Mu Zian and the rest immediately surrounded Yun Chujio and the rest. However, other than Yuan Ji's panicked and angry face, Ji Su and the rest didn't show any signs of panic. Instead, they looked at them as if they were looking at an idiot. Zhuang Shichen's thoughts were deeper. He felt that something was not right. Why were they not afraid? Instead, they were looking at them with such a gaze? Could it be that they had something to rely on? However, even if they had any treasures, 13-7, they would still win completely. The people outside saw the situation clearly. Each and every one of them looked as if they were on steroids. "Hey, are they going to fight? I didn't expect that they would fight instead of finding the treasure. Isn't Yun Chujio the disciple of Master Xian Hui and Master Liao? Why is there only one disciple of the Bitter Zen sect on her side, while the other three are together with the Mu family? I think you should take a look at Snavel. Simicron, who knows? However, that Yun Chujio saved the lives of those three. I didn't expect that they would repay kindness with enmity. How shameless!" Sect Master Xian Hu's face was very unsightly. Yuan Qing and the others might have done this on the orders of Xian Ji and the others. They were openly going against him. The people of the Divine Inspiration Continent in the VIP seats were not interested in the fight between Yun Chujio and Lai Yen. They were more interested in whether Yun Chujio had obtained the Blazing Flame Vermilion Lotus and the Withered Bone Ganoderma. Because the scene had disappeared for 2 periods of time, they weren't sure if Yun Chujio had obtained the 2 items. However, no matter who won or lost, the 4 spiritual treasures they found would eventually belong to them, so they could only watch the show. With her short temper, she should have killed them all. However, she still needed to rope in the Mu family to deal with the Divine Devil Hall. If she killed them all, it would be troublesome. After weighing the pros and cons in her heart, she decided to beat them up first. Anyway, she had 100 ways to kill them, so she was not in a hurry. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio snapped her fingers. "Beat them up. Just leave them alive." Mu Zian and the others felt that Yun Chujio really overestimated herself. However, their cold laughter quickly turned into fear. No, this was impossible. Wasn't Yun Chujio at the 2nd level of Spirit Extinguisher? Why was her strength so terrifying? Could it be that she had hidden her strength? In an instant, Mu Zian and the others were controlled. Yun Chujio held a large kitchen knife and gestured in front of Yuan Qing. "Do you still want to split the Ganoderma?" Yuan Qing trembled like a fallen leaf in the wind. He shook his head repeatedly. No, I don't want to. Junior Sister Yun, I was obsessed just now and spouted nonsense. Don't lower yourself to my level." Yuan Tong and Yuan Fan were also begging for mercy. They almost knelt down and kowtowed. Yun Chujio curled her lips and walked up to Mu Zian. She cut Mu Zian's hair into pieces with a few strokes and then said coldly, "Mu Zian, if you provoke me again, I want cut off your hair." Mu Zian was both angry and afraid. She bit her lips and pinched her fingernails into her palm without realizing it. She really did not understand why Yun Chujio's cultivation had grown to such a terrifying level in such a short period of time. Could it be that the Zen sect and the Bitter Zen sect had given her a lot of precious cultivation resources? Yun Chujio walked up to Chi Tianhui and did not say anything. She only gave him a fierce kick. Yes, it was a kick to the face. Chi Tianhui was about to curse angrily when he saw the big kitchen knife in Yun Chujio's hand. He had no choice but to swallow it. Yun Chujio walked up to Zhuang Shurchen and said, "Compared to those two idiots, you're smarter. You should know that a wise man submits to circumstances. Tell me, what did you guys encounter in the Midsummer Peak? If you dare to lie to me, you know the consequences." Zhuang Shurchen knew that if he didn't tell her, he would definitely suffer. Moreover, if Yun Chujio wanted to go to the Midsummer Peak to die, he would be happy to see that happen. Thus, he said, "The weather on the peak of midsummer is hot, but it's still within an acceptable range. We have successfully approached the peak. I think you should take a look at Snavel. Camphir is a hot spring on the peak, and the lone frost plum is growing there. However, there are many demon beasts gathered on the peak. After they discovered us, they launched an attack. We only managed to escape after we lost 4 lives." Yun Chujio had already expected this and was not too surprised. However, judging from the time, it was likely that the frost plum had already bloomed and been eaten by the demon beasts. Rho alpha pi d alpha s nu omicron v epsilon l. Hearing this, Yun Chujio looked at Zhuang Shurchen with a smile that was not a smile. "By telling me this, do you want me to go to the Xingxia Peak to die? To borrow beasts to kill people?" Zhuang Shurchen's eyes looked a little evasive as he said, "Miss Yun, if you want to obtain the qualification to ascend, you need to gather 4 spiritual treasures. I'm telling you this news to help you." Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips and said, "Originally, after what you did to me, I should have killed you. However, I've always been a soft-hearted person, so I'll let you off today. If you dare to provoke me again, don't blame me for being ruthless. Let's go." As Yun Chujio said this, she led Lone and the others towards the direction of Midsummer Peak. Yuan Ji looked at Yuan Qing and the others on the ground, then looked at Yun Chujio who was far away. Finally, he gritted his teeth, stretched his neck and shouted, "Junior Sister Yun, wait for me." Yuan Ji shouted as he followed her. Although he was not that familiar with Yun Chujio, not only did Junior Sister Yun save them, she actually did not kill Yuan Qing and the others just now. She was really a kind and good girl, so it was not wrong for her to follow her. Mu Zian looked at Yun Chujio's back as she left. Her originally pretty face turned ferocious. "Yun Chujio, I will kill you sooner or later." Yuan Qing gnashed his teeth in hatred. Once they were out of the Four Seasons mountain range, Yun Chujio would definitely spread slander in front of Xianhui. Perhaps both he and his master would be punished. A hint of viciousness flashed in his eyes. "3 of you, with such a great humiliation, are you willing to let that bitch go just like that?" Chi Tianhui's face was horribly kicked by Yun Chujio. He said ferociously, "Of course we can't let it go just like that. It's just that that bitch has hidden her strength. We are no match for her at all. We can only think of a way after we get out." Yuan Qing sneered. "After we get out, she will have the Lan family, the Zen sect, and Xianhui to protect her. It's easier said than done to kill her. Why don't we recuperate and then meet up with the 10 people from the Divine Devil Hall? Then we will go to the Midsummer Peak and kill her." Yuan Qing was proud in his heart. At that time, he would kill Yuan Ji as well. With the support of the Divine Devil Hall, his master might kick Xianhui out and become the new sect master. At that time, he would be the successor disciple of the sect master. Mu Zian and the others felt that Yuan Qing's idea was not bad. Since they were unable to obtain the 4 numinous treasures now, they might as well take revenge first. Just as they were discussing fervently, the ground began to tremble, and it was getting stronger and stronger. Everyone was immediately shocked. What was going on? Was it the earth dragon turning over or the demonic beast riot? Just as they were feeling bewildered, they heard an earth-shattering beast roar. Countless demonic beasts were rushing towards them. Mu Zian and the others were frightened out of their wits. This was the foot of the mountain. How could there be so many demonic beasts? Could it be that the demonic beasts had really revolted? Their first thought was to run quickly. However, they had been badly beaten up by Yun Chujio and the others previously. Although they had taken pills, They could not recover in a short period of time. How could it be easy to run away? However, they could not just stand there and wait for death. They still ran as fast as they could. Now, they could not be bothered to go to the Golden Autumn Peak to look for the people from the Divine Devil Hall. They ran towards the exit of the Four Seasons mountain range. The demonic beasts seemed to have gone mad as they chased after them relentlessly. Only Muzian and the other two had relied on the spirit tools on their bodies to escape from the Four Seasons mountain range. Even so, they were covered in wounds and had lost half of their lives. I think you should take a look at Snavel. Kmas for Yuan Qing and the others, they had all died and became food for the demonic beasts. As for why the demonic beasts had suddenly rebelled, the reason was very simple. They had initially chased after Yun Chujio, but because Yun Chujio ran too fast, they could not catch up at all, so they wanted to retreat. Just as they wanted to retreat, they smelled something that they could not resist and immediately rushed down frantically. Who would have thought that when they reached the foot of the mountain, the fragrance strangely disappeared and they only saw Muzian and the others? Because they saw Yuan Qing and the other two, the demonic beasts were certain that Muzian and the others were the accomplices of that wretched girl who kidnapped the withered bone Lingji. How could they not be angry? At this moment, Hei Xinjiu had already brought Jisoo and the others into the midsummer peak. She faintly heard the roar of a beast in the distance, and the corners of her mouth curled up. Previously, she did not kill Muzian and the others because she was afraid that the Mu family, Qi family, and Zhuang family would be dissatisfied. However, if they were eaten by the beasts, it would not be her business anymore. This could also be considered as compensation for those beasts. Yuan Ji and the others also heard the roars of beasts, and in their hearts, they lit a candle for Muzian and the others. However, they thought that the beasts were only following them and did not know that it was Yun Chujia's doing. Yuan Ji couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, he was with junior sister Yun. If he stayed there, he wouldn't be able to save his life. Yun Chujio found that she didn't encounter any demonic beasts along the way. The demonic beasts were probably still gathering at the peak. This was good news. It meant that the winter plum hadn't bloomed yet. What should she think of to trick those demonic beasts this time? Her gaze landed on Jisoo and the rest. She thought for a moment and said, "Don't go any further. Just wait for me here." Jisoo and the rest knew their own limits. If they followed them, they might become a burden. Let them just wait. Yuan Ji blinked his eyes and did not say anything. Yun Chujio was very satisfied with this. It did not matter if her brain was not functioning properly. She just needed to be obedient. After Yun Chujio separated from Jisoo and the others, she quickly rushed to the top of the mountain. She had the beads secreted by the Guai Chao, so the hot weather didn't affect her much. Therefore, she was very fast and arrived near the peak the next morning. Just as she was about to get closer, she was blocked by several demonic beasts. Yun Chujio glanced at the demonic beasts and said, "I have something important to do. It's about the lone frost plum. Take me to your leader." When the beasts heard that it was about the frost plum, they didn't dare to make a move. After all, the frost plum was a big deal. Furthermore, more than 10 humans had been scared out of their wits. This little girl was nothing to be afraid of. Hence, the beasts escorted Yun Chujio to the peak. There were many beasts gathered on the peak. At the front stood 4 larger beasts. They must be the leader of the beasts. I think you should take a look at Snavel. In front of them was a hot spring, but it was already covered in thick ice. Among them was a slender plum tree. Its trunk was only as thick as a wrist, and on its branches was a white flower bud. It looked like it was about to bloom. As Yun Chujio was sizing up the plum tree, the 4 high-level demonic beasts began to roar impatiently. Only then did Yun Chujio come back to her senses and smiled. Previously, there was a group of people who wanted to scheme against you, but you killed 4 of them, right? The 4 high-level demonic beasts didn't know what Yun Chujio meant by asking about this matter. They impatiently growled a few times and admitted it. Yun Chujio shook her head. Do you know that they all have a map jade slip in their storage rings? That map jade slip can send everything that happens here to the outside at the same time. If one of you gets the frost plum in the end, you will be targeted by the cultivators outside. I don't think I need to tell you the final outcome, right? When the 4 high-level demonic beasts heard this, their claws immediately went numb. The 4 of them had been swallowed whole by them. How could they care about their storage rings? In any case, if they couldn't digest it, they could eventually expel it from their bodies. Rho alpha pi d alpha s nu omicron v epsilon L. Come at that time, wouldn't they be living targets, allowing the humans to slaughter them? Just as the 4 high-level demonic beasts were panicking, Yun Chujio said with a smile, I heard that the lone frost plum has 5 petals, and you only have 4 beasts. The remaining petal isn't easy to distribute, and it might even cause a dispute. I have a good idea to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. When the time comes, you can give me a petal, and I'll give you laxatives now. It'll let you expel the ring and get rid of those human cultivators. How about it? Yun Chujio added, Oh right, I've lost my storage ring a long time ago. You don't have to worry about this. After all, I don't want anyone to know that I've obtained the frost plum. The 4 high-level demon beasts listened to Yun Chujio's words and began to think about their little Jiojio. As for the extra petal, they naturally coveted it. However, they also knew that it would inevitably lead to a bloody storm. Now that their cultivation levels were the same, if anyone obtained an extra petal, their cultivation levels would definitely be much higher. The consequences would be unimaginable. Why not give it to this human girl? After she swallowed it, they could split it up and eat her. Wouldn't that be great? Moreover, they could also get rid of that damned map jade slip first. Otherwise, it would be bad if the humans targeted it. The 4 demonic beasts looked at each other and instantly came to an agreement. They nodded at Yun Chujio, indicating that they agreed with her suggestion. Yun Chujio immediately took out 4 pills and handed them to the 4 demonic beasts. Then she said, If you don't trust me, you can wait for the frost plum blossom to bloom before taking it. You don't have to take it now. The 4 demonic beasts sneered in their hearts. Did this brat think that they were all 3-year-old little beasts? If they were to wait until it bloomed before taking it, those humans might chase after them. When that time comes, how would they have the time to take laxatives? Moreover, it seemed that the frost plum would still need another 2 to 3 hours before it bloomed. Now was the best time to take it. Hence, the 4 demonic beasts ignored Yun Chujio and directly swallowed the pill. A moment later, the 4 demonic beasts leaped into the bushes in the distance. After a while, the 4 demonic beasts walked back in a refreshed manner. They even specially instructed a few low-level demonic beasts to throw their storage rings far away. When the 4 demonic beasts saw that Yun Chujio was waiting for the petals to be split, they all revealed malicious looks. This little girl was really stupid. In a while, when she ate the petals, it would be the moment she lost her life. I think you should take a look at Snavel. The ancestors even said that humans were the most insidious species. Now, it seemed that they were simply stupid. They, the demonic beasts, were the smart ones. At this moment, some demonic beasts cried out in surprise, because the flower bud had already slowly begun to bloom. A cool fragrance instantly spread out, dispersing the originally dry heat, making people feel refreshed. The 4 demonic beasts were very excited. They tried their best to inhale more of the fragrance. The frozen plum was indeed a good thing. It was not in vain for them to guard it for so many days. When they saw the silly smile on Yun Chujio's face, they could not hide their pride. This little human girl was probably still dreaming about splitting the petals. She was too stupid. The flower bud bloomed bit by bit, and finally, it bloomed. The 4 demonic beasts were about to rush up to the ice surface to pick the frost plum when a figure beat them to it. It was Yun Chujio. She picked up the frost plum, placed it in the jade box, and put it into her storage ring. The whole set of actions was smooth and natural, as if it had been planned. Alright, this fellow had planned it all out. The 4 demonic beasts saw that Yun Chujio not only snatched the frost plum, but also shamelessly put it into her storage ring, and were instantly enraged. What happened to 1 human petal? Did this stupid girl want to keep it all for herself? She was simply courting death. The 4 demonic beasts roared, and the rest of the demonic beasts supported them. The roars of the demonic beasts shook the sky. If they were cowards, they would have been scared to death. However, Heizinjia's smile became even brighter. The 4 demonic beasts became even angrier when they saw that Yun Chujio still had the face to smile. Just as they were about to rush forward to settle the score with Yun Chujio, they heard Yun Chujio say with a smile, "If you don't want the antidote, then do it. I don't care. After all, I'm not the one who died." The 4 demonic beasts were stunned. The antidote? What antidote? The laxative I gave you before contains some other ingredients. I don't want to treat you like this either. After all, I'm a very kind person. However, one must be wary of others. I have to have a foolproof plan. If you don't have any other ulterior motives, those ingredients won't harm you. However, you plan to eat me after the deed is done. Therefore, in order to protect myself, I can only harden my heart and deal with you." Yun Chujio said helplessly. The 4 demonic beasts looked at her innocent appearance. They were so angry that they wanted to tear her into pieces. However, they were afraid of the poison that she was talking about and did not dare to make any moves for a moment. However, they thought about it again and realized that it was not right. Their demonic beasts were naturally sensitive to poison, and there was nothing wrong with the laxative from before. Could it be that this stinky girl was trying to trick them? Yun Chujio seemed to have seen through their thoughts and curled her lips. "Do you think that I am trying to trick you? Then try using your spiritual power to see if your dantian is hurting faintly." When the 4 demonic beasts heard that, they immediately used their spiritual power. Sure enough, there was a slight pain in their dantian. This brat was actually telling the truth. She actually poisoned them. How did she do it? Yun Chujio kindly explained, "It's very simple. If you don't have any bad intentions towards me, then the part of the poison that you swallowed won't be harmful. I think you should take a look at Snavel. Semicronim, but I saw that you guys have bad intentions towards me, so I took advantage of the moment when the unique frost plum bloomed and mixed in some good stuff. After you guys inhaled it, it turned into poison. TSKSK, what you guys inhaled just now was really desperate. Therefore, the effect of this poison must be very good." The 4 demonic beasts were dumbstruck when they heard that. How could they have thought that she had tampered with the fragrance? No wonder she laughed so shamelessly when she saw them sniffing the fragrance. It turned out that she was scheming against them. The 4 demonic beasts recalled the experience passed down by their ancestors and were simply regretting it. If they had known earlier, they would not have had such devious thoughts. No, if they had known this would happen, they would not have listened to this wretched girl's nonsense. Perhaps, she was also the one who made up the matter about the ring. It was really too immoral. It was simply too immoral. Yun Chujio let out a long sigh and said, "Sigh. Seeing all of you so sad, I also feel quite uncomfortable in my heart. However, I am doing this for your own good. You haven't eaten the frost plum, so how do you know that eating it will definitely be beneficial to your cultivation? All of you basically have fire spirit roots, and the frost plum is too cold. You might die if you eat it. So, maybe I accidentally saved all of you. Don't thank me too much." Although the 4 demon beasts felt that Yun Chujio was trying to be a good girl, they also felt that what she said made sense. This frost plum could turn hot springs into ice. If they were to rashly consume it, it might really backfire. Even so, they could not hide the fact that this stinky girl was deceiving them. When they thought about how they had worked so hard to protect the lone winter plum for so many days, and how it was about to be swallowed by the wretched girl before them, they were simply furious. "How about this? If you let me go, I will not only give you the antidote, but I will also give you some pills as well. How about it?" Yun Chujio said with a smile. The 4 demonic beasts wanted to refuse, but what could they do? Their lives were in the hands of this stinky girl. If they didn't listen to her, they would only die. They wanted to force Yun Chujio to hand over the antidote, but seeing Yun Chujio's attitude, they knew that it was useless to force her. Moreover, this stinky girl was full of bad ideas. If she agreed now, she could get some more pills. If she didn't agree, she might not even have those pills. Hence, she was afraid. When Yun Chujio saw that the 4 demonic beasts were afraid, she immediately nodded her head in approval. All of you are very sensible. No wonder you were able to become the leaders. Indeed, you have the qualities of a beast. Don't worry, I will not mistreat all of you. The 4 demonic beasts were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood. This kind of praise was better than scolding them. The more they praised, the more they felt that they were stupid. The demonic beasts made a path for them. Yun Chujio swaggered in front, followed by the 4 low-level demonic beasts. After they were out of the encirclement of the demonic beasts, Yun Chujio gave the 4 demonic beasts 4 antidotes and 4 big basins of medicinal pills. The 4 demonic beasts were dumbfounded. They originally thought that Yun Chujio only said that she would give them a few medicinal pills, but there were actually so many of them? I think you should take a look at Snavel. Could it be fake? But the fragrance of the pills was very rich. No matter how they looked at it, it seemed to be real. While they were in a daze, Yun Chujio had already turned into an afterimage and sped away. The 4 demon beasts probed for a long time, and finally confirmed that these pills were genuine high-grade pills, and they almost cried in excitement. That damned girl seemed to still have a little conscience, and it wasn't too bad. Seeing that the demonic beasts didn't chase after her, Yun Chujio summoned the giant rabbit to carry her while she lay down on it to catch up on her sleep. When they were about to reach the meeting place, she put the giant rabbit away and met up with Jisoo and the others. Jisoo and the others tactfully didn't ask any further questions, but seeing her refreshed appearance, they knew that she had definitely succeeded. Jisoo said with some puzzlement, "Junior Sister Yun, you said that the 10 people from the Divine Devil Hall did not succeed? Why hasn't there been any movement?" Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and did not answer Jisoo. Instead, she said to Yuan-ji, "Senior brother Yuan-ji, pretend that you lost the 2 map jade slips in your hands by accident." Although Yuan-ji did not know the purpose of Yun Chujio's actions, he still obediently threw the 2 map jade slips into the grass. The reason why he had 2 was because Yun Chujio had given Yuan-ji the storage ring of the dead Zen sect disciple in the Vitality Cave. Yun Chujio felt that the distance was far enough, so she said, "The people of the Divine Devil Hall are not interested in wine. Their target is not the 4 numinous treasures at all. To be exact, they don't care if they get the qualification to ascend." Chapter 54-26 Yun Chujio's guess Yuan-ji asked in confusion, "Aren't they aiming for the 4 numinous treasures? Then why did they come in? Besides, who doesn't want to get the qualification to ascend?" Yun Chujio curled her lips. "Don't forget, the main hall of the Divine Devil Hall is located in the Divine Enlightenment continent. If they want to ascend, why would they need to use this method to get the qualification to ascend?" Yuan-ji and the others were stunned. Yes, the Divine Devil Hall was different from them. It was much easier for them to obtain the qualification to ascend. Then the question arose. Since they didn't want to obtain the 4 treasures, why did they follow them in? Yun Chujio said indifferently, "As for their purpose, we will know when we reach Jinchio Peak. I think they are already anxious from waiting." Hearing Yun Chujio's words, Yuan-ji did not quite understand the meaning behind Yun Chujio's words. Jisoo, on the other hand, thought of something. "Junior Sister Yun, do you mean that those people from the Divine Devil Hall did not intend to leave the Golden Autumn Peak in the first place and just waited for someone to collect the 3 treasures before walking into the trap? I am just guessing. I think the Divine Devil Hall has other schemes, but I still can't figure it out. Let's go and take a look first. Then we can make our plans," Yun Chujio said. "There were other schemes? What schemes?" Jisoo and the others looked at each other. Forget it. They didn't have the abnormal brain of Junior Sister Yun. It was a waste of time to think about it. It was better to take things one step at a time. At this moment, it was bustling outside the 4 Seasons mountain range. Mu Zian and the other 2 were seriously injured and sent back to the inn for treatment. The heads of the 3 families of the Mu family all had ugly expressions on their faces. However, they had been attacked by demonic beasts and could not be blamed on Yun Chujio and the Chan sect at all. Even if they had been beaten up by Yun Chujio and the others previously, it was because Mu Zian and the others had provoked them first. There was no reason for them to find fault with them. Sect leader Xian Hui was extremely satisfied with Yun Chujio in his heart. Yuan Qing and the other two's masters were not on good terms with him. Now that Yuan Qing and the other two were dead, how could he not be happy? Moreover, the little girl had saved Yuan Ji and the others previously. This meant that she really regarded him as her master. Otherwise, she would not have taken the risk to save them. The reason why the onlookers were boiling with excitement was even simpler. Many of them had placed their bets on Yun Chujio. Initially, they thought that she was a troublemaker. Now, it seemed that she might really be able to collect the 4 treasures in the end. Although the crucial scenes had disappeared, no one was stupid. They had all guessed that Yun Chujio had obtained the 3 treasures, but they didn't know how she did it. Before the scenes disappeared, they had only seen her flirting with those demonic beasts. They didn't know how she had tricked those demonic beasts, but she had succeeded. The people of the Divine Enlightenment continent in the VIP seats were also slightly interested. It was a coincidence that she had succeeded once, but Yun Chujio had succeeded 3 times. How did she do it? However, they were more interested in the 4 numinous treasures. Now, they were only missing the green jade shoots of the Golden Autumn Peak. However, the 10 people from the Divine Devil Hall hadn't succeeded, so they didn't know whether Yun Chujio would get them. On the screen, the 10 people from the Divine Devil Hall couldn't do anything to the gathered demonic beasts. Although they had been trying to think of a way, they were still in a stalemate. The old ancestor of the Lan family had a serious expression on his face. He had naturally thought of what Yun Chujio had thought of. From his point of view, the 10 people from the Divine Devil Hall seemed to be deliberately stalling for time, waiting for Yun Chujio and the others to arrive. Were they just trying to gather the 4 spiritual treasures, or did they have other plans? Chapter 54-27? Qi Dong stared at the shadow stone on the high platform with a cold glint in his eyes. Although there was some deviation, the result was still the same. A good show was about to begin. At this time, Yun Chujio and the others had already entered the Golden Autumn Peak. The crisp autumn weather on the Golden Autumn Peak was very comfortable. What made He Xinjiu even more comfortable was the wild fruits that could be seen everywhere. The guy picked a few of them in passing. Although they did not taste as good as the spiritual fruits, they had a different flavor. Fortunately, the guy knew that business was more important, so he did not waste any time. One day later, they met the people of the Divine Devil Hall. The 10 people of the Divine Devil Hall were all purple-masked men. Most of them were at the 3rd to 4th level of the spiritual obliteration realm. When the leader, Qi Xian, saw Yun Chujio, his eyes flickered. Yun Chujio, have you collected the other 3 treasures? Yun Chujio said indifferently, take a guess. Qi Xian frowned and said, whether you have gathered the other 3 treasures or not, you can forget about obtaining the green jade shoots. When Yun Chujio heard that, she could not figure out the true purpose of the Divine Devil Hall. Could it be that they were guarding here to prevent others from gathering the 4 spiritual treasures? The Divine Devil Hall had gone through a lot of trouble to hold the Grand Firmament Gathering, but in the end, they blocked people from obtaining the qualification to ascend. Wasn't that asking for a scolding? No matter how she looked at it, something did not seem right. However, she could not figure out the true purpose of the Divine Devil Hall. No matter what, she had to gather the 4 spiritual treasures first. She would just have to deal with each and every move. Therefore, Yun Chujio sneered and said, what? Do you want to stop us from going up here? Unexpectedly, Qi Xian made way and said, you underestimate the bearing of our Divine Devil Hall. Since we have held the Great Firmament Feast, why would we stop you from gathering the 4 treasures? What I mean is, there are a lot of demonic beasts gathered here. You have no way to get the green jade shoots. Oh, then let's wait and see. Let's go. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she brought Ji Su and the others and continued on their journey. Qi Xian and the others followed behind them, ostensibly wanting to broaden their horizons. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart but did not say anything. The group of people soon approached the peak of the Golden Autumn Peak. There were indeed a lot of demonic beasts gathered there. After those demonic beasts discovered Yun Chujio and the others, they immediately roared and stopped them from approaching. Yun Chujio frowned. As the 10 people of the Divine Devil Hall had been trying to approach the peak these days, these demonic beasts were very irritable and vigilant. The method she used in the other 3 peaks might not work. How could she trick them? A hint of contempt and schadenfreude flashed in the eyes of Qi Xian and the others. They wanted to see what she would do. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and pondered for a while. Then, she took out 2 jade boxes, stretched her neck and shouted, "Hey, I want to trade the ice plum and the dry bone Ganoderma for the green jade sprout. Do you want to trade?" Almost in an instant, 3 high-level demon beasts jumped out and saw the jade box in Yun Chujio's hand with doubt. Yun Chujio opened the jade box and quickly put it into her storage ring. "How about it? Do you want to trade? If you agree, let me go over. I want to personally pick the green jade shoots so that you won't destroy its medicinal properties." The 3 high-level demon beasts looked at each other. This human girl was really stupid. As long as she entered, her life would be in their hands. Trade? All of it was theirs. Even she was their food. Thus, the 3 high-level demon beasts growled a few times and the demon beasts opened a path. Yun Chujio strolled in leisurely. Chapter 54-28 Tender Jade shoots. Jisoo and the others were about to say something, but thinking about it, this wasn't the first time this fellow had done something like this. There shouldn't be any problems. Qi Xian and the others felt that Yun Chujio was courting death. Since she was courting death, they naturally wouldn't stop her. After Yun Chujio entered, she discovered that there was a 3-foot-tall small tree in front of her. On the tree, there was a golden fruit. This fellow could not help but feel a little puzzled. Where was the green jade sprout that they had agreed on? Just as she was feeling puzzled, the 3 high-level demonic beasts started to threaten her and roar. It seemed like they wanted her to hand over the winter plum and the withered bone Ganoderma. Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips. Humans put honesty first. Demonic beasts should do the same. Since we have already agreed on the terms, isn't it a little too ungrateful for you to go back on your words now? The 3 high-level demonic beasts let out a maniacal roar, thinking that this human girl in front of them was simply too stupid. Talking about honesty with the demonic beasts? Is there something wrong with your brain? Do you think that I can only obediently submit to you since you've trapped me here? If I die, you won't be able to open my storage ring at all. Then, you'll never be able to obtain the lone frost plum and the withered bone Ganoderma. Moreover, if I don't survive, I will destroy both jade and stone. If you destroy the lone frost plum and the withered bone Ganoderma, you will get nothing. Yun Chujio said with a cold smile. The 3 high-level demon beasts immediately hesitated. Clearly, they were afraid of taking action. Yun Chujio continued, "After I pick the green jade sprouts, I will naturally hand over the 2 jade boxes to you. No matter how you look at it, you have gained a great advantage. Why must you fight to the death?" The 3 high-level demonic beasts looked at each other. Forget it. If they could get the ice plum and the dry bone Ganoderma, it wouldn't be too bad. There was no need to take the risk. If this little girl really came to destroy both the jade and the stone, they would suffer a huge loss. As for whether Yun Chujio would go back on her words or not, it wasn't within their consideration, because they felt that Yun Chujio wouldn't dare. If she dared to lie to them, they would kill her. Moreover, didn't she say that? People put honesty first, so she naturally would not lie. Seeing that the 3 high-level demon beasts no longer had any intention of attacking her, Yun Chujio's gaze fell on the small tree once again, wondering in her heart how the green jade sprout would appear. Very quickly, 2 hours passed, but the fruit did not change much. Just as Yun Chujio was feeling a little anxious, the fruit fell to the ground. After the fruit fell to the ground, it was instantly smashed into pieces and gave off an unpleasant smell. Yun Chujio, could it be that these demonic beasts made a mistake? No matter how she looked at it, it didn't look like some heavenly and earthly treasure. Just as Yun Chujio was cursing in her heart, she was surprised to find that there was a green jade-like sprout emerging from the core of the fruit. Just as she was shocked, she heard the 3 high-level demonic beasts' urging roars. Yun Chujio suddenly realized that this was the green jade sprout. Tieske, these three demonic beasts were really silly and cute. Yun Chujio went forward and put the green jade sprout together with the core into the jade box, and then put it into her storage ring. Yun Chujio took out 2 jade boxes, opened them for the 3 high-level demonic beasts to take a look, and then closed them again. The 3 high-level demon beasts immediately became excited when they saw that the contents were indeed the frost plum and the withered bone Ganoderma. Although the green jade shoots were taken by this little girl, they did not lose anything. Moreover, they had made a huge profit. Chapter 54:29, 2 jade boxes. If you let me out, I'll give you these 2 jade boxes. Don't worry, I'm so weak. If I go back on my words, you can kill me, said Yun Chujio. The 3 high-level demon beasts looked at each other. Even if this little girl had more than 10 companions outside, they wouldn't be her match. She wouldn't dare to play any tricks. If she dared to lie to them, they would take the risk of not getting anything to kill her. Thus, they opened a path. Yun Chujio held the 2 jade boxes in her hands and walked out unhurriedly. When she was about to leave, she seemed to ask carelessly, "You 3 beasts, and there are only 2 jade boxes. How are you going to distribute them later? Will there be a fight?" When the 3 high-level demonic beasts heard this, they immediately stopped and looked at each other warily. They were all thinking about their little Chujio. At this moment, Yun Chujio threw the 2 jade boxes in her hands in front of them and said, "Here, I'm a man of my word. I'll give the jade boxes to you." The 3 high-level demonic beasts did not have the time to bother with Yun Chujio at this time. They all went to fight for the 2 jade boxes. After a long battle, 2 of the high-level demonic beasts had the upper hand. They worked together to kill the other high-level demonic beast. Then, they happily opened the jade boxes that they had obtained. There was nothing inside. Where were the frost plum and dry bone Ganoderma? The 2 high-level demonic beasts were instantly dumbfounded. Then, they let out a heart-wrenching roar. They had been deceived. What happened to putting honesty first? What happened to not deceiving them? Liar. Big liar. Hei Shinjio, who had already run far away, heard the faint roar and curled the corner of her mouth. She had not deceived them. Those were 2 jade boxes. She had originally said that she would exchange the 2 jade boxes for the green jade shoots. Qi Xian's eyes flashed. This Yun Chujio was really a little strange. She actually managed to swindle the tender green jade shoots so easily? However, so what? Everything was under the control of the Hall Master. At this moment, Yun Chujio clutched her stomach and said with a somewhat embarrassed expression, "I'll go and do something. You guys go first. There's no need to wait for me." Ji Su sighed. "Junior sister Yun, I told you that those wild fruits cannot be eaten, but you didn't believe me. This time, you've eaten something bad, right?" Yun Chujio smiled awkwardly, then ran into the grass with her hand on her stomach. Qi Xian and the others were a little hesitant. Ji Su pursed his lips. "What? Do you want to see junior sister Yun show her respect?" Qi Xian snorted coldly. He felt that Yun Chujio couldn't play any tricks, so he followed Ji Su and the others and left. Yun Chujio squatted in the grass. Seeing that Qi Xian and the others had gone far away, she let out the Goeibatsao and specially instructed it to save up a lot of money. Goeibatsao was overwhelmed by the favor. She quickly agreed. Yun Chujio did not stop releasing Goeibatsao until her face was a little pale. Then, she said, "I have a feeling that the Divine Devil Hall has other plans. You hide here well and listen to my instructions when the time comes." Goeibatsao shook its leaves in high spirits. It was the opportunity for Goeibatsao to make a name for itself. Yun Chujio did not dare to delay for too long. After instructing Goeibatsao, she covered her stomach and left the bush, catching up with Qi Xian and the others. Yun Chujio had been wary of Qi Xian and the others making a move, but she realized that they did not seem to have any intention of making a move. This was strange. If they had no other purpose, there was no need for them to enter the Four Seasons mountain range. Yun Chujio was puzzled. Until she left the Four Seasons mountain range and returned to the venue of the Chongshao Grand Meeting, nothing else happened. Chapter 54:30 Ascending Talisman. As soon as Yun Chujio returned to the venue, she heard a tsunami-like cheer. "Ha! That's great! It seems that Yun Chujio has already collected 4 spiritual treasures. My bet is right. I'm rich. I'm rich. Not only can I get a share of the gambling money, but I can also get the additional 10 million upper-grade spiritual stones from the Divine Devil Hall. How wonderful! Getting rich is one thing, but the most important thing is Miss Zhang Yun's happiness. She's about to ascend." Although Mu Zian and the other 2 were severely injured, they still sat on the couch and collapsed to the venue. When they saw Yun Chujio's smug look, their faces instantly turned as pale as paper. They knew that they could no longer compete with Yun Chujio. They were no longer worthy to be her opponents. From now on, they were merely ants to her. Qi Dong's face was beaming with joy as he said, "Congratulations, Miss Yun. It seems that you have already collected the 4 treasures. Please hand them over to me." Yun Chujio saw that Qi Dong was smiling rather happily, and her vigilance grew. Something was not right, something was not right. Logically speaking, Qi Dong should be very angry that she was qualified to ascend, so why would he be so happy? Although Yun Chujio was suspicious in her heart, her face showed just the right amount of joy, and she handed the 4 spiritual treasures to Qi Dong. Qi Dong handed the 4 spiritual treasures to Palace Master Long of the Godly Demon Palace. The people of the Divine Enlightenment Continent craned their necks to look at the 4 jade boxes. Palace Master Long opened the jade boxes with understanding. When they saw the 4 spiritual treasures inside, they all looked eager. After Palace Master Long closed the jade boxes, he said, "Everyone, according to our agreement, I will give these 4 spiritual treasures to Hall Master Shi of the main hall, who is best at refining elixirs. After they are refined into elixirs, I will give them to you according to our agreement." The people of the Divine Enlightenment Continent nodded in satisfaction. No one raised any objections. After putting away the 4 jade boxes, Palace Master Long glanced at Yun Chujio and said, "Yun Chujio, you have collected the 4 spiritual treasures and obtained the qualification to ascend. This is the Ascension Talisman and the entry token to the Divine Enlightenment Continent. You can activate them within a month." After saying this, Palace Master Long handed the Ascension Talisman and the entry token to Qi Dong, who handed them over to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio took them and looked at them. Although the Ascension Talisman sounded like a talisman, it looked more like a jade token with complicated patterns drawn on it. As for the other entry token, it looked ordinary with the words "entry token" written on it. Of course, she was sure that these 2 items were real. After all, the Godly Demon Palace was not stupid enough to cheat in front of the people of the Divine Enlightenment Continent. Then, the problem was that the Godly Demon Palace had mobilized so many people to do this just to benefit her? No matter how she thought about it, it felt strange. If not, what was their purpose? Yun Chujio put the 2 items into her storage ring and returned to her seat. Sitting next to her, the head of the Qi family had a complicated expression on his face. There must be some envy, jealousy, and hatred. After all, most people would never have the chance to ascend in their entire lives. However, Yun Chujio had gotten the chance that she had always dreamed of. She was simply lucky. However, he was also a little puzzled. Other people might not know, but these influential figures knew about the grudge between the Divine Devil Hall and Yun Chujio. However, whether it was Palace Master Long of the Divine Devil Hall or Protector Qi Dong, they seemed to be happy that Yun Chujio was qualified to ascend. What the hell? Chapter 54:31 was like this. Yun Chujio felt the gaze of Patriarch Qi and turned around with a smile. "Senior Qi, you are looking at me with such concentration. Do you have something to say to me?" Patriarch Qi squeezed out a smile and said, "Little girl, congratulations on obtaining the qualification to ascend. Your future is boundless." Yun Chujio nodded. "Thank you, Patriarch Qi. I didn't expect that the Divine Devil Hall would treat me so well. They spent so much effort just to fulfill my wish." Patriarch Qi laughed dryly and said, "No wonder Protector Qi moved your seat here. It turns out that he had already predicted that you would be qualified to ascend." Patriarch Chi was simply trying to find something to say. Unexpectedly, when Yun Chujio heard what he said, she was stunned. Previously, when the person from the 1,000 Feet sect wanted to confront her, she pretended to fall off the stage, and Chi Dong arranged for her to sit here. At that time, she felt that Chi Dong did this to appease her. After all, there was an uninterrupted supply of spirit fruits and refreshments in the VIP seats, so she didn't think too much about it. But the real reason would definitely not be like this. So why did he move her seat here all of a sudden? After thinking about it, there were only two reasons. One was that there was something fishy about the seat she was sitting in, and the second was that there was something wrong with the seat she was originally sitting in. But what could be wrong with it? She carefully recalled what had happened before. If it weren't for Chi Dong going up on stage and saying that he wanted to sow discord, that person from the 1,000 Feet sect wouldn't have proposed to confront her. And before that, the Divine Devil Hall had first given a lot of tea and spirit fruits, and they had given the Land family a lot more than others. Could it be that there was something wrong with her seat? That wasn't right. The Divine Devil Hall wasn't stupid. If there was something wrong with her seat, they wouldn't have given it to the Land family. There was no need to make up for it later. At this moment, Palace Master Long of the Divine Devil Hall was already saying some polite words. It was nothing more than the conclusion of this grand meeting. It was estimated that the meeting would be dismissed soon. Yun Chujio was so anxious that her forehead was covered in sweat. She felt that there must be something wrong with this. Moreover, she had already touched the edge of it, but she just could not find the main point. Seeing that she was in a daze, the head of the Chi family thought wickedly in his heart that this Yun Chujio could not have been overly excited, so she directly became a fool, right? He said somewhat gloatingly, "Little girl, what's wrong with you?" Yun Chujio was not in the mood to deal with him now. She said indifferently, "Senior Chi, I'm fine. I'm just thinking about something." Seeing that she spoke clearly, Patriarch Chi could not help but feel a little disappointed. He said casually, "It's good that you're fine. Aren't you willing to eat the fruit?" At such a young age, don't think so hard. Eat something to distract your attention. Yun Chujio suddenly looked at Patriarch Chi, giving him a fright. This little girl was indeed abnormal. Was she going to eat someone? Yun Chujio didn't say anything. Patriarch Chi's words just now appeared in her mind. Distract her attention? Yes, distract her attention. Chi Dong had sent people to deliver fruits to her out of the blue and asked her to go on stage to distract her attention. But why did he do that? What was he afraid of? Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. She seemed to have found the crux of the problem. When she was catching up on her sleep, she dreamed that there were spiritual stones under the seat, so after she woke up, she had been digging in boredom. Could it be that there was some unspeakable secret under the seat? The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that it was the case. Moreover, this also explained some of her confusion. Chapter 5432, What was the explanation? Before they entered the Four Seasons mountain range, the Divine Devil Hall had put on some gaudy performances, which made people feel very uncomfortable. Now it seemed that they were most likely stalling for time. Moreover, originally, the Divine Devil Hall had no need to send people to enter the Four Seasons mountain range, but they had sent 10 people instead. Their purpose was obvious, and it was also to stall for time. They were guarding the Golden Autumn Peak. Anyone who wanted to gather the 4 treasures would definitely reach the Golden Autumn Peak. If there was enough time, they didn't need to do anything. However, if there wasn't enough time, they could intervene and continue to stall for time. The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that her guess was right. Then, what was the use of the array formation under the seats? Did they want to kill everyone? Yun Chujio quickly denied this answer because no matter how arrogant the godly demon palace was, they wouldn't dare to kill everyone in the divine enlightenment continent. Then what was the use of this array formation? Yun Chujio gritted her teeth. No matter what the use was, as long as she exposed the secrets under the seat to the public, the scheme of the godly demon palace would never succeed. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio picked up a spirit fruit and ate it. She accidentally spilled the juice on her clothes. She mumbled and took out a piece of cloth to cover her knees. From the point of view of Patriarch Chi and the others, she was afraid of dirtying her clothes, so she used that piece of cloth to catch it. Therefore, she did not have any doubts. Little did she know that Yun Chujio took this opportunity to secretly release Xiao Hei and let it burrow into the ground. Before Yun Chujio had finished eating the fruit, Xiao Hei had already responded, "Master, there are many jade tokens similar to your Heaven Ascension Talisman. I don't know what they are used for." Yun Chujio immediately sneered in her heart. In short, they were not very useful. Yun Chujio put Xiao Hei into her spirit beast bag and then looked at the high platform. At this moment, Palace Master Long on the platform was about to announce the disbanding of the conference when Yun Chujio suddenly stood up. The cloth on her body just happened to cover the hole that Xiao Hei had come out of. "Palace Master Long, don't announce the disbanding of the meeting yet. I have a few questions that I want to ask you," Yun Chujio said coldly. Palace Master Long subconsciously frowned and then said, "If Miss Yun has any questions, you can ask me after the meeting is over. Why are you in such a hurry?" Yun Chujio chuckled. "I don't want to be in such a hurry, but this matter is of great importance, and it has to do with everyone present, especially the seniors of the Divine Enlightenment continent. Of course, I'm extremely anxious." Palace Master Long suddenly had an ominous premonition, and he wanted to reject her stiffly. However, when he saw that the people of the Divine Enlightenment continent were all looking at him suspiciously, he could only say, "Tell me, what's your problem?" Although the Great Firmament Territory Assembly looks decent, there seem to be more things that don't make sense. Firstly, although it's difficult to search for these 4 spiritual treasures, with the strength of the Divine Demon Hall, it probably won't be too difficult. Why did the Divine Demon Hall make such a big fuss to hold the Great Firmament Territory Assembly? Secondly, Palace Master Long just said that these 4 spiritual treasures will be refined into elixirs and given to the major forces in the Divine Enlightenment continent. In that case, there's no need for the seniors of the Divine Enlightenment continent to come here. Thirdly, since the 4 numinous treasures are so crucial, the Divine Devil Hall should have seized all the time to let us in. Why do they have to put on some flashy performances at the beginning of the Great Firmament Territory Feast? Finally, the 10 people you sent to the 4 Seasons mountain range don't seem to be searching for the 4 numinous treasures. Instead, they seem to be stalling for time. Palace Master Long, how do you explain this? Chapter 5432 Right and Wrong. Palace Master Long's eyes flashed slightly as he said unhappily, "Yun Chujio, you and our Divine Devil Hall have always had a grudge against each other. We have put aside our past grudges and given you the qualification to ascend, yet you are here to sow discord between us. How outrageous is this? There is nothing to explain about what you have said. I have no qualms about it, and there is no need for me to stall for time. Seeing that you're young and ignorant, I won't argue with you anymore. If you continue to be unreasonable, then hand over the qualification to ascend." Hearing that, Yun Chujio's voice became colder. She said, "Although I, Yun Chujio, am very eager to ascend, but if you want to use this to threaten me, then you have the wrong plan. Everyone, the Divine Devil Hall has always been secretive, and Palace Master Long has avoided answering my questions. There's clearly something fishy going on here. Even if I, Yun Chujio, don't want this qualification to ascend, I have to get to the bottom of this matter today. Right and wrong, we will naturally know when we dig up the soil under this seat." Palace Master Long's pupils suddenly constricted, and he shouted with a stern look on his face, "This is outrageous. Qi Dong, take back her qualification to ascend. Master Lon, for your sake, I will not argue with her today. If she continues to mislead people, I will not be polite." As soon as Palace Master Long finished speaking, many disciples of the Divine Devil Hall walked towards Yun Chujio's direction. It was obvious that if Yun Chujio said anything else, they would attack her. Yun Chujio didn't show any fear on her face as she bowed towards the VIP seats. "Seniors, I, Yun Chujio, am not a fool. If there wasn't something fishy going on underground, I wouldn't have offended the Divine Devil Hall on the premise that I have the qualifications to ascend. To be honest, I didn't know what was going on underground, but my spiritual pet was Mischievous. It dug a hole in the ground and found that there were several jade tokens similar to the Heaven Ascension Talisman buried underground. I'm inexperienced and don't know the use of those jade tokens. I'm sure you all know it. As Yun Chujio said this, she lifted up the cloth on the ground and revealed a small hole. The people from the Divine Enlightenment continent who were in the VIP seats stood up immediately. Many jade tokens that were similar to the Ascension Talisman? Yun Chujio didn't know, but they knew. Not only was the spiritual energy in the Divine Enlightenment continent much denser than that in the Heavy Cloud continent, but it was also much more advanced than that in other aspects. In the Divine Enlightenment continent, no one used talisman paper to draw talismans anymore. Instead, they drew talismans on specially made jade tokens. This kind of jade talisman solved the problem of the supply of spiritual energy, so its effect was many times stronger than paper talismans. Moreover, it could be used to set up a formation directly. If what Yun Chujio said was true, then there must be a huge formation below. The Divine Devil Hall couldn't set up a formation below for no reason, and they even deliberately used jade talismans to set it up. Obviously, there was a problem. The 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall and the Divine Devil Hall did not have a good relationship to begin with. Master Wu Ben immediately said, Amitba. Palace Master Long, since Yun Chujio's words are so logical, let's dig it up and see. Palace Master Long cupped his hands. Master Wu Ben, this Yun Chujio is trying to mislead the masses and sow discord between our sections. If we really send people to dig up the ground, where would our Divine Devil Hall's face be? Moreover, we have no reason to set up any array formation, so this is simply nonsense. I happen to want to give the 4 spiritual treasures to Hall Master Sure of the main hall. Why don't we set off now? Master Wu Ben frowned. He naturally understood what Palace Master Long meant by these words. He wanted to use medicinal pills to gag him. He thought about it again. Even if there was an array formation down there, it had nothing to do with the Divine Enlightenment continent, and it also had nothing to do with the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall. There was no need to take it seriously. Thus, he said faintly, all right, let's set off. Chapter 54:33 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array Palace Master Long looked at Yun Chujio with slight contempt and sneered in his heart. Although this Yun Chujio was intelligent, she had misjudged one thing. In the eyes of the people of the Divine Enlightenment continent, the lives of the people of the Chongshao continent were as worthless as grass. Not to mention that this underground was just an unknown array. Even if he killed people in front of them, as long as it didn't involve their own interests, they wouldn't interfere. Seeing that Master Wu Ben was about to leave, Yun Chujio raised her voice and said, Master Wu Ben, don't you think that there's a problem with the Divine Devil Hall's hospitality in inviting you over? Especially since they purposely made you wait here for 10 days, aren't you curious about what array formation is down there? I heard that the Divine Devil Hall and the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall's relationship is not too harmonious. Why would the Divine Devil Hall be so kind to give you the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall's medicinal pills? Don't you have the slightest doubt as to whether what falls from the sky is a pie or a stone? Master Wu Ben frowned. Firstly, he was displeased with Yun Chujio's aggressive stance. Secondly, he was suspicious. That's right. Why would the Divine Devil Hall be so kind? They wouldn't get up early without benefits. What exactly were they planning? Thinking of this, Master Wu Ben stopped in his tracks. Palace Master Long, since this Yun Chujio is so certain, why don't we dig her up and have a look? Palace Master Long's face stiffened. Master Wu Ben, if we can send this numinous treasure back to the main hall earlier, we can also refine it earlier. Why do we have to waste time on such a small matter? Yun Chujio immediately interjected, are you using medicinal pills to blackmail Master Wu Ben? How can a monk like Master Wu Ben be blackmailed by you? Master Wu Ben. He took a deep breath and said, let's dig it up and have a look. This is also to prove the innocence of your Divine Devil Hall. Palace Master Long looked at Yun Chujio coldly and said, okay, if that's the case, let's dig it up and see. Immediately, the guards of the Godly Demon Palace dug up a small part of the ground and found 2 jade talismans that looked like heaven-rising talismans. There was an uproar. Oh my God! The godly demon palace has set up a formation under the seats. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to do? They must be up to no good. Perhaps once the people of the Divine Enlightenment continent leave, they will trap all of us here. They are so damn shameless. No wonder they are so eager to hold the great firmament feast. It turns out that they have such an idea. The faces of Master Liaowu and the others were very unsightly. Even the faces of the Qi family's patriarch and the others were also unsightly. The Divine Devil Hall didn't inform them in advance. Could it be that they wanted to kill them too? This was really outrageous. Master Wu Ben's tone was somewhat gloomy as he said, "Palace Master Long, what explanation do you have for this? What exactly are your Divine Devil Hall's intentions?" Palace Master Long shook his head and said helplessly, "Master Wu Ben, please don't jump to conclusions before the matter is clear. Vice-Chancellor Duanmu, you have done a lot of research on array formations. Why don't you see what kind of array formation this is?" Vice-Chancellor Duanmu of the Ten Directions Academy took the 2 Jade Talisman seals and looked at them. Then he said, "These are the Jade Talisman seals of the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array." Vice-Chancellor Mo of the Divine Enlightenment Academy nodded at the side. "That's right. These are indeed the Jade Talisman seals of the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array." Master Wu Ben was stunned. The 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array? As the name implied, once the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array was activated, it could gather spiritual qi. Not only was it harmless, but it was also beneficial. Chapter 5434 was completely dug out. Palace Master Long said with a wry smile, "I know that the people of the Divine Enlightenment continent aren't used to the thin spiritual energy in the heavy cloud continent, so I set up the 8-directional spirit gathering array. I didn't want to say it at first. After all, this is what we should do as a landlord. But since Yun Chujio wants to frame us, I can only prove my innocence." Master Wu Ben looked a little embarrassed when he heard that. He looked at Yun Chujio with displeasure, obviously venting his anger on her. Yun Chujio frowned slightly. Was the Divine Devil Hall so kind? If it was really the 8-sided spirit gathering array, why did they have to hide it? There must be something wrong here. She rolled her eyes and said, "Palace Master Long, you only got people to dig out 2 jade talismans, but the area here is so big. Who knows if you have set up other arrays? Maybe this 8-sided spirit gathering formation is just your cover. If you really want to prove your innocence, then dig out all the jade talisman seals. Don't say that you're afraid of trouble. You have to dig them out sooner or later, don't you?" Palace Master Long's face suddenly turned ugly. "Yun Chujio, don't think that you can be unscrupulous just because you have the qualification to ascend. If you continue to spout nonsense, don't blame me for being impolite." "Oh, are you flustered? Did I hit the nail on the head? Master Wu Ben, do you think we should continue digging?" Master Wu Ben frowned. He originally did not want to get involved in this mess, but the matter just now had undoubtedly been slapped in the face by Palace Master Long. If they could really dig out another array formation, not only would they be able to regain their face, they might even be able to take the opportunity to blackmail the Divine Devil Hall. Hence, he said indifferently, "Palace Master Long, what Yun Chujio said makes sense. In any case, you will have to remove the formation here in the end. Why don't you dig it out and shut her mouth?" Palace Master Long's expression was very ugly. Deputy General Sima of the Ironblood Killing Alliance said casually, "Stop wasting time. Just dig it out quickly. You people are taking too many detours. We have already dug out enough time to say these words." Yun Chujio's eyes lit up and immediately flattered, "What General Sima said makes sense. There's no time to lose. Why don't we all dig together? This way, the speed will be much faster." When Deputy General Sima heard Yun Chujio call him General Sima, he was very happy and immediately said, "Little girl is right. Don't just stand there. Dig together and dig out all the jade talismans below." The onlookers loved to join in the fun. As soon as Deputy General Sima finished his words, they all started digging. Yun Chujio glanced at Palace Master Long. Seeing that he was not panicking, but was rather proud of himself, her heart sank. Could it be that there was nothing wrong with these jade talismans? She was sure that the Divine Devil Hall had other motives this time. If there was nothing wrong with these jade talismans, then why did the Divine Devil Hall spend so much manpower and resources to set up the Spirit Gathering Array? It was not like the Divine Devil Hall had nothing better to do. What was it for? Yun Chujia's head hurt from thinking about it, but she did not have any clue. She was burning with anxiety. If the jade talismans that were dug out were still materials for the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array, not only would it not expose the Divine Devil Hall's conspiracy, but it would also make Master Wu Ben unhappy with her. It was very likely that he would revoke her right to ascend. However, no matter how much she thought about it, she could not find a breakthrough point. She could not wait for everyone to dig a little slower. However, the more people there were, the greater the strength. In just 15 minutes, they had dug out hundreds of jade talismans from the ground. Chapter 5435 withdrew the qualification to ascend. Vice-Chancellor Duanmu and Vice-Chancellor Mo flipped through the hundreds of jade talisman seals and then said with certainty, "These jade talisman seals are all the materials of the octagonal spirit gathering array. There's nothing unusual about them." Master Wu Ben was not familiar with arrays and asked with a stiff face, "Then why are there so many of them?" Vice-Chancellor Duanmu explained, "The octagonal spirit gathering array is not a large-scale array. An octagonal spirit gathering array only needs 8,864 jade talisman seals. The Divine Demon Hall is probably afraid that the area covered by the array formation is too small, so they have set up 8 octagonal spirit gathering arrays. That's why they have so many jade talisman seals." Palace Master Long nodded. Vice-Chancellor Duanmu is right. The larger the area covered by the array formation, the more people will benefit from it. That's why I borrowed so many jade talisman seals from the main hall. Everyone was dumbfounded. So they had misunderstood the Divine Devil Hall? Not only did they not mean any harm, but they were also full of good intentions? This was awkward. The bystanders immediately showed their true nature and pointed their spears at Yun Chujio. "I told you that the Divine Devil Hall wouldn't do anything bad. Look, not only are they not trying to harm us, they are doing it for our own good. It's all Yun Chujio's fault for misleading us. If it weren't for her lies, how would we suspect the Divine Devil Hall?" "Yes. That's right. Didn't Palace Master Long say so before? That Yun Chujio and the Divine Devil Hall have a grudge against each other. She must have deliberately framed the Divine Devil Hall." The Divine Devil Hall didn't care about the past and gave her the qualification to ascend, but she repaid the favor with enmity. How shameless! In my opinion, a person like her doesn't deserve the qualification to ascend. She might as well give it to someone else. You're right. If a person like her ascends, she might stir up trouble in the Divine Enlightenment continent. She's a scourge, a pest. Yun Chujio didn't care about the discussions of these people. Her mind was still searching for clues. As long as something existed, there would definitely be traces of it. No matter how secretive the actions of the Divine Devil Hall were, there would still be flaws. She needed to think carefully. Just as she was racking her brains, Palace Master Long said coldly, "Yun Chujio, you are narrow-minded. You seek revenge for your own personal vendetta. You don't have the qualifications to ascend. Return the ascending talisman and the passage token to this seat. For the sake of the Lan family, I will let you off this time. If you continue to be stubborn, don't blame me for being impolite." As soon as Palace Master Long finished his words, the onlookers started to clamor. They were all shouting that Palace Master Long was magnanimous and that Yun Chujio was a petty person. The Lan family's ancestor and the others wanted to plead on behalf of Yun Chujio, but when they saw Master Wu Ben's gloomy expression, they didn't dare to say anything. This time, Little Nine's cleverness had been mistaken. Of course, they also thought that the Divine Devil Hall wouldn't be so kind as to set up a spirit gathering array in all directions, but that was the truth. Little Nine was going to fall this time. Yun Chujio calmly sized up everyone in the Divine Enlightenment continent, and she saw that Master Wu Ben's expression was also very unsightly. He had suffered a big setback this time, so he naturally took out his anger on Yun Chujio. Even if Palace Master Long didn't say anything, he would still suggest that she withdraw her qualification to ascend. The other people of the Divine Enlightenment continent didn't have any expression on their faces. Only Deputy General Sima's face had a faint trace of sympathy. Yun Chujio had a splitting headache, but she still couldn't think of anything. She could only take out the Ascension Talisman and the Passage Jade token from her storage ring, preparing to hand them over to Palace Master Long. Chapter 5437 was not the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array as expected. After hearing Palace Master Long's words, Vice-Chancellor Duanmu and Vice-Chancellor Mo's faces were immediately filled with displeasure as they released their pressure on Yun Chujio. Although Yun Chujio was not afraid of their pressure, in order not to expose herself, she forced herself to break out in a cold sweat and her body began to tremble. Palace Master Long watched from the side and felt very pleased in his heart. She was just a little girl. What kind of storm was she trying to stir up? The old ancestor of the Lan family, Master Liaowu, and the others looked at Yun Chujio worriedly. They all winked at her, asking her to admit her mistake. As long as there was life, there was always hope. It was not a wise choice to fight against the Divine Devil Hall now. However, Yun Chujio straightened her back, her eyes full of determination. I don't know anything about the Jade Talisman, but there is nothing more convincing than the truth. Since this talisman seal is the material of the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array, I believe that after it is activated, it can also gather spiritual qi. Yun Chujio's gaze landed on Qidong. Protector Qidong, why don't you try activating it? Qidong's pupils suddenly constricted and he shouted coldly, Yun Chujio, you are simply making trouble without reason. Hallmaster, Yun Chujio is so rude. If we don't punish her, where is the dignity of our Divine Devil Hall? Before Palace Master Long could speak, Yun Chujio bowed deeply towards Vice General Sima. Great General Sima, can you help this junior with this favor and activate this Jade Talisman? Vice General Sima had the intention to reject, but when he saw Yun Chujio looking at him with an adoring and pleading gaze, he couldn't bear it. Moreover, he felt that it wasn't a big deal to activate it, so he didn't want to make her give up. Thinking of this, Deputy General Sima took the Jade Talisman. Palace Master Long and Qidong were about to stop him, but it was already too late. Deputy General Sima had already activated the Jade Talisman. Almost in an instant, Deputy General Sima let out a blood-curdling scream and threw the Jade Talisman in his hand out. Deputy General Sima's face was deathly pale, and there were even bean-sized beads of sweat dripping down his forehead. He pointed at the Jade Talisman that was still flickering in the distance and said, What the hell is this thing? It actually absorbed my spirit energy on its own. Without needing him to say anything, the others also realized that something was wrong. If that Jade Talisman was the material of the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering Array, even if it couldn't gather spirit energy, it wouldn't cause harm to people. Deputy Chancellor Duanmu and Deputy Chancellor Mo's expressions immediately changed. The two of them picked up the 2 Jade Talisman seals and looked at them carefully. Very soon, their expressions turned extremely ugly. This was indeed not the material for the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering formation. To be exact, this was not the same as the 2 Jade Talisman seals that they had first examined. It was just that these talisman seals were too similar to the 2 Jade Talisman seals of the 8 Directions Spirit Gathering formation at the very beginning. With a cold glance, there was no difference at all. However, if one took a closer look, one would discover that some of the patterns were completely different. Although they had never seen such talismans before, from Deputy General Sima's reaction, it seemed that once these talismans were activated, they would absorb the spiritual power of others. Deputy Chancellor Duanmu threw the Jade Talisman in his hand onto Palace Master Long's body. What else do you have to say? Your Divine Devil Hall is really vicious. Are you planning to absorb all of our spiritual power? Palace Master Long's face revealed a perfect look of confusion and innocence. Where did this come from? Why would I absorb everyone's spirit energy? I'm not brainless. If I absorb everyone's spirit energy, how will my divine devil hall be able to establish itself in the divine enlightenment continent and the great firmament continent once everyone finds out? I remember now. Since I'm in a hurry, not all of the talismans here were drawn by the Chief Hall's talisman master. Some of them were purchased from other places. Perhaps something went wrong. Chapter 5438. Destroy the Jade Talismans. Seal. The people of the Divine Enlightenment Continent were skeptical of Palace Master Long's words. Indeed, the godly demon palace shouldn't have made such a foolish move, because once they were found out, they would become the target of everyone's attacks. Moreover, they didn't seem to feel any discomfort. Was it really just a misunderstanding? Palace Master Long continued, "Everyone, this is the negligence of our godly demon palace. After I return to the main hall, I will naturally apologize and give everyone a satisfactory answer." The people of the Divine Enlightenment Continent understood that he meant that he would compensate them, so their expressions softened. After all, they had nothing to lose, so that was it. At this moment, Palace Master Long said apologetically to Yun Chujio, "Thank you, Miss Yun, for pointing out our God Demon Palace's negligence. I was wrong about you before. I'm sorry." Palace Master Long's words were full of sincerity and apology, so no one could find any fault with him. Yun Chujio did not expect Palace Master Long to be able to turn the matter over with just a few words. No wonder he was able to become a sub-palace master. He really had some ability. Yun Chujio saw the impatience on the faces of Master Wu Ben and the others, and swallowed back her original words. Instead, she said, "Palace Master Long, I am easy to talk to. After all, I have only been scolded and suffered some grievances. But Deputy General Sima has been injured quite badly. Shouldn't you express something?" Yun Chujio was very grateful towards Deputy General Sima. She didn't want him to have any animosity towards her because of this matter, so she said this. Palace Master Long hurriedly said, "Of course. After we return to the main hall, our Divine Devil Hall will definitely express our gratitude towards Deputy General Sima." Deputy General Sima had already taken a spirit-replenishing pill and his expression had recovered a little. To put it bluntly, a lot of his spirit energy had been absorbed just now, so it wasn't a big deal. He glared at Palace Master Long and didn't say anything. Yun Chujio continued, "Palace Master Long, since these jade talismans are harmful things, why don't we destroy them now?" Palace Master Long's face immediately stiffened. We still have to bring these jade talismans back to the main hall to find out the reason. It's not appropriate to destroy them now." Is it not appropriate or is it reluctant? Could it be that Palace Master Long still wants to use these talismans to scheme against others? Yun Chujio said with a cold smile. Deputy General Sima was originally not in a good mood, but seeing that Palace Master Long was like this, he immediately slapped the talismans on the ground. "Hold on." Palace Master Long's words were obviously of no use, and Deputy General Sima continued to slap the jade talismans. Those jade talismans were not very sturdy, and were almost instantly destroyed by Deputy General Sima's palm. Vice General Sima added another palm strike, turning the remaining jade talismans into powder. The vexation in Palace Master Long's eyes couldn't be hidden any longer, and Yun Chujio couldn't help but sneer inwardly. Although she didn't get the upper hand this time, she still wanted to make him feel uncomfortable. Palace Master Long tightened the hand under his sleeve, and only then did he suppress the vexation in his heart and say, "Forget it, let's just destroy it. Everyone, let's set off now." Master Wu Ben and the others nodded and left with Palace Master Long. As soon as Palace Master Long and the others from the Divine Enlightenment Continent left, the others also left. The ancestors of the Lan family were no exception. They didn't want to stay in the territory of the Divine Devil Hall for too long. Yun Chujio was worried about the Goe Batsao in the Four Seasons mountain range. So, when she was halfway there, she covered her stomach and went into the woods nearby. She gave the control of her body to Goebatsao and asked it to tell her about the Four Seasons mountain range in a low voice. Chapter 54:39 Requirements of Goebatsao. Goebatsao waved its arms and told the whole story as soon as it took control of its body. After Yun Chujio left, Goebatsao first hid in the grass obediently. But soon, it couldn't stay any longer. It was the first time it had saved so much money. It felt like it was going to be the richest in the world. If it did not show off, it would be letting down its conscience. Hence, this fellow decided to take a stroll. It had already been to Spring Dawn Peak, Midsummer Peak, Golden Autumn Peak, and Winter Peak. It was not interested, so it decided to take a stroll to Mustard Seed Peak next to Golden Autumn Peak. Just as this fellow was waving the grass leaves and flying happily, it heard a voice. The fellow quickly hid in the grass, feeling puzzled. Didn't everyone leave? Why was there still someone? He sneakily peeked and realized that it was the two purple-masked men from the Divine Demon Hall who were speaking. Although Goebatsao did not like to use his brain, he knew that there was a problem even if he used the leaves to think. Thus, the fellow carefully eavesdropped. I reckon that the Great Firmament Territory meeting will be over soon. When the Jade Talisman seal is in our hands, we won't have to stand guard here anymore. I've really had enough of this Mustard Seed Peak's ever-changing weather. Yeah, I've had enough too. However, those people are really stupid. Even those people from the Divine Enlightenment continent didn't notice anything amiss. Our Hall Master's divine plan is ingenious, and he arranged it so meticulously. Of course, they won't notice. Goebatsao immediately smelled a conspiracy. Not only was this guy not afraid, but he was also eager to try. What kind of bad idea were these people from the Divine Devil Hall? Just as it was wondering, two people came over to change shifts, so Goebatsao secretly followed behind the two people. Goebatsao soon understood why the two people said that the climate of Mustard Seed Peak was changeable. It was warm like spring just now, but now there were suddenly snowflakes. The two people walked to a stone wall and took out jade tokens to open the enchantment. Goebatsao quickly followed them in. It was surprised to find that there was a different world inside. It was actually very wide. Dozens of purple-masked people from the Divine Devil Temple were standing or sitting inside. When they saw the two people come in, someone asked, "Is Guardian Qidong still not here?" "He should be here soon. Since the array disk is already running, it means that things are progressing very smoothly. We just need to put those jade talismans inside and it will be done." Goebatsao was afraid of being discovered, so he did not dare to continue jumping forward. Therefore, he did not see what the so-called array board looked like. Of course, this fellow knew nothing about arrays. It did not make any difference whether he saw it or not. After listening to Go Weiba's story, Yun Chujio was still quite puzzled. What kind of array formation did the Divine Devil Hall set up? Also, why did they need those Jade Talisman seals? It seemed that those Jade Talisman seals were not used to absorb spiritual power. What were they used to absorb? But no matter what, just destroy the array disk. Once and for all. Thus, Yun Chujio said to Goebatsao, "Find an opportunity to destroy the array disk. As long as you do this, I won't mistreat you." Goebatsao waved her arms and said, "Look at you, as if my grass is greedy. If I destroy the disk array, you don't have to spend too much. Just buy me 10 houses of herbs. Also, in the future, as long as I want to come out, you can let me out. You are not allowed to disagree. Well, it would be even better if Xiao Mogu could accompany and serve me." Chapter 54:40 Formation Plate. After listening to Goebatsao, Yun Chujio said faintly, "Goebatsao, isn't it good to be alive?" Goebatsao wanted to blackmail her, but then she thought about it. This wretched girl was full of bad ideas. Even if she succeeded in blackmail now, she would dig a hole for her in the future. What should she do? While Goebatsao was struggling, Yun Chujio said, "I will soon ascend to the Divine Enlightenment continent. When that time comes, there will be many high-level medicinal herbs and pills. I won't mistreat you. As for your improper thoughts about Xiao Mogu, I don't support or oppose it. It all depends on Xiao Mogu's attitude. Goebatsao knew that Yun Chujio was taking a step back and giving it a way out. It immediately said, I was joking just now. Since you said so, I will think of a way to destroy the disc array. Yun Chujio nodded and asked Goebatsao to return the control of her body to her. She cursed in her heart. This Goebatsao actually wanted Xiao Mogu. Didn't it think that its main body was in her dantian? Could it have brought Xiao Mogu into her dantian to settle down? On the other side, Goebatsao was hiding in a corner sneakily, waiting for an opportunity to destroy the disc array. However, it was really difficult. There were dozens of people from the Divine Devil Hall, and they were all purple-masked people. If it was not careful, it would be discovered, not to mention destroying the disc array. Goebatsao thought for a moment and decided to lure the tiger away from the mountain. It sneaked to the entrance of the cave. Since the cave was not straight, the people inside could not see it immediately because their vision was blocked. Its body grew bigger, and it stretched out its grass leaf to whip at a protruding rock. Boom! The huge rock let out a huge cracking sound, immediately attracting the attention of the people inside. Goebatsao had already shrunk its body and stuck close to the top of the cave. While the people were checking the ground, it quickly flew to the depths of the cave. In the depths of the cave, there was a huge array plate. The runes on it were flickering with light. It was obvious that it was already in operation. Goebatsao was just about to think of a way to destroy the array plate when a loud noise came from outside. It quickly hid in a depression of the array plate. It was small in size, and with the flickering light of the runes, it wouldn't be discovered. Protector Qidong, did you come to deliver the Jade Talisman seal? Or did the Temple Master and you have a brilliant plan? Those people from the Divine Enlightenment continent are being used by us, and we have to thank our Divine Demon Temple. A purple-masked man asked in a fawning manner. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Is the disc array operating normally? Qidong said coldly, his tone filled with impatience and annoyance. The man didn't expect that the flattery would hit the horse's hooves. He said embarrassedly, it's normal. Everything is normal. It's just that this big rock suddenly fell down and gave us a fright. Qidong looked at the broken rocks on the ground and didn't pay much attention to them. After all, there would occasionally be rocks falling off. Moreover, the people from the Divine Enlightenment continent and the Zen sect had already left. No one would come here. He walked up to the array disc and took a look. Seeing that it was functioning normally, he didn't look too closely. He said to the purple-masked men, the Jade Talisman seal has been destroyed. The Hall Master will think of another way to remedy it. You guys stay here and guard it well. He won't mistreat you. The purple-masked men couldn't help but feel disappointed. They thought that they could get out, but now it seemed that they would have to stay here for a while. The purple-masked man who had spoken earlier relied on his courage to ask, Protector Qidong, who destroyed the Jade Talisman seal? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.